Hello, you guys. How are you all? Thank you guys for being here. Happy Thanksgiving. I wanted to try to come on while I'm doing my makeup and some other things and also hang out with you guys, trying to fit everything in. So maybe you guys can take a break from whatever you're doing and hang out with me, or sneak away from the family, or whatever you need to do. But happy Thanksgiving. Thank you guys for being here. Hey, Natasha. Hey, Johnny. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Trulia. Hey, Connie. Hey, Queen Bella. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Taylor. Hey, Rhonda. So, yeah, we're just going to hang out for a little bit. Probably, maybe a lot of people are doing their Thanksgiving celebrations, and that's okay too. Then it can be a video for the replay. Hey, Alicia. But yeah, so J.E., hey. So a couple things. Leilani has been moved. She has a new home. And also, I wanted to show you guys some dolphins I saw this morning. So we're at the beach, like I told you. And let's see. Hey, Lisa Lee, happy Thanksgiving. Hey, I got change. Hey, Ange. Hey, you guys. Good to see you. I got to see dolphins this morning. Well, not this morning, just like a little bit ago, which was really cool. And I figured, because I've been wanting to go over this interview. It's been out for a day or two. And I figured that, I got to do my makeup anyway, so it gives me time to to listen to this with you guys. And so that is what we're going to do. I got lots of other pictures and videos of the dolphins. There were so many of them. It was really cool. But yeah. And also, let's just take a look at this. Leilani Simon has been transferred to Arundel State Prison to serve out her sentence for murdering her son, Quentin. Simon received a life with the possibility of parole sentence plus 10 years, meaning she will be eligible for parole after 40 years. So there is her new picture. It's pretty crazy to think about it. I was thinking about this yesterday. She is at the spot where she will be for the rest of her life. Think about that. Think about driving somewhere any damn where and being like, okay, well, this is where I'm going to spend the rest of my life. Possibly, maybe I'll have some time in 40 years somewhere else, but, maybe not. It's crazy. Hey, Jenna. Hey, Tess. Hey, Grammy Nini. Hey, Dee. Hey, MTB. Happy Thanksgiving, you guys. I was about to say that, Tess. I am so thankful for all of you guys. I really, truly am. So thank you for everything. All right, so let's just hang out, kick back, listen to this interview. Of course, we're going to pause along the way. We have to for fair use. But it's about 37 minutes in total. All right. I'm excited. I have not listened to this yet.
You is, how are you doing after the last couple of years that you've been through?
It's been a process overall. I won't lie. It's something that I never would have expected to go through in my lifetime.
Yeah, who would, right?
I really, it's a process I've had to go through, therapy and all kinds of things to get through the PTSD that it caused. I'm not going to downplay it because everything was stressful throughout the entire, even before October 5th. It was definitely a stressful environment to be in, and something that I dealt with just to make sure I was there for my daughter as much as I could be.
Okay, so I'm going to pause for a second and say, I can imagine.
Let's go back to you and Leilani Simon's relationship.
Way, but I can imagine that it would be a very stressful situation before October 5th, and that after you would get PTSD from something like that. That is not surprising to me. I'm glad he didn't downplay it. There's nothing to be ashamed of when you're going through something like that. It's better to, if you're going to speak about it honestly. If you don't want to speak about it honestly, you don't have to do interviews and stuff, but okay.
Tell me
Hey,
how
Ava.
that relationship started and what being in that relationship was like.
Well, it started as a relationship just on like I think it started on Snapchat, something like that. It started with a visit down to North Carolina from Georgia, from her to me, and that was the first time I'd ever met her. And she came down and stayed for a night while I was in North Carolina at my parents' house with me, and that's where I was living at the time. She seemed to be a nice person, that just had dealt with some very stressful and bad things in her life. That's how
Hey,
she
Heathen.
came off to me in the beginning. Like she needed somebody, and just like
She was a
well, not everybody, but a
damsel in
majority of people,
distress. Just,
people make bad choices, and I was willing to look past things that circumstances, circumstances change people, and I was trying to help get her out of a bad situation, and it escalated to where she ended up moving up to North Carolina with me. And then the reason it continued as long as it did was really because of Sky. That's about why I sticked around as long as
okay, and
I just couldn't not be.
I want to be really clear about something. These are just the facts as we know it. Danny, was part of the home and the living conditions that those kids were going through. And if it was stressful for him before October 5th, you have to think, how was it for them? He was part of that, right? But I want to be very clear. Danny, it's not like he has immunity. He's made some deal. He cooperated from the beginning willingly, gave them access to his phone, an interview, period. He has willingly cooperated to get justice for Quentin, including even speaking out and doing this interview, right? Because he doesn't have to do this. Hey, Lil Red. Hey, Kimberly. Hey, JH. So I just want to make that really clear, because that's just the way it is.
There.
We heard testimony from you on the stand during Leilani's trial about the nature of your relationship, and you mentioned what you just said when you were on the stand, that you were there for your daughter. What was it like being in that relationship? What were your circumstances as far as how you and Leilani were relating to each other around the time of October 5th?
And I was taken advantage of at a certain point. As if I'd just take anything that she did.
Yes, you were, because you were at home watching the kids, satisfied, drinking a beer and doing coke whenever y'all got it. And she was out doing God knows what, hooking up with other guys and everything else, just like she's still doing to this day. Okay. She loves the men. That's just the truth.
To me.
No shame, whatever. Is what it is. Hey, cutie pie. Hey, Linda.
I just was very forgiving. Here. She was a physically abusive person. I won't lie about that. She definitely put her hands on me a few times.
Oh, remember those comments that we heard about that happening in this relationship? And honestly, I'm not surprised, especially considering we have Leilani in text telling Danny, I'm so sorry. I will never do coke again. She tells police it makes me a different person. It makes me, sometimes I just become someone else. We have her admitting to that. I don't know how anybody can make this anything different than what it is. We need to. The facts are pretty clear, in my opinion. But okay. Hey, Adrian.
I
Yes, Andy.
was
Me either, Kimberly.
of physical abuse,
Oh,
emotional abuse from her
here, let me rewind it a second because
due
it
to the
glitched.
nature. I was a victim of physical abuse, emotional abuse, and mental abuse
Not
from her
surprised either, Trulia. Hey, Bodine.
due to the nature of
Oh, I thought you meant you escaped to get.
who she is, I guess. I tried to see the best I could, and I try to see the best I can in everybody. Like, look for the good and accept the fact that people make mistakes. So I was very forgiving, and I was just hoping that one day I could really help her in a sense. It was kind of like a savior type thing. And I was letting things go that I shouldn't have for a very long. Uh, the relationship towards
Sorry, you.
was letting things go that I shouldn't have for a very long period of time. Uh, the relationship towards October 5th, it was, I had gotten to a point to where I started to just let her behavior, whatever she was doing, I kind of got to a point where I ignored her and was just paying attention to the children
I believe.
and making sure that when I came home from work, it wasn't a dirty place.
Okay, so we'll hear what he has to say about that. But I believe that because if we go to that video where he finds out about the Oragel, the body cam, where he has that, his head kind of jerks when he finds out the truth, or about, not the truth, he finds out that she left, and about this Oragel story. He said on the stand that they didn't talk about that later that evening. I think he was kind of just like, how we've talked in the past about sometimes people would just give Letitia her way or whatever because they don't want to deal with her. I can see some of that here, Okay, but let's hear what he has to say about this house.
At least it would be crazy because I'd go to work and I'd come back.
Hey,
She would end
Mr.
up not going to work that day because she said she didn't feel
KD.
good. And I'd get back to the house and the kids' diapers are still dirty and the dishes aren't done. And it's just a wreck. And she'd be sitting outside on the front porch of that house on Buckhalter smoking a cigarette, which she'd probably sit out there and smoke a whole pack of cigarettes sometimes. And I would be the one that would be paying for these things because she would decide not to go to work. And I would end up, because of want to be the only one from with income coming in, I would vouch for her whether I believed her or not at that point, just to save the income part. Now, that only specifically refers to jobs. She was, I would try to wake her up and she would yell at me. Wake her up to go to work and she would yell and
Which is
complain
why
and
he was the
act
one
as
who took
if
the kids to the
she could
center.
just make it up, as if it was just whenever she wanted to go to work, she could go to work and it would be okay. There were no consequences, essentially, to to her actions. Anything she did, it was almost as if she knew there would be no consequences. So she kind of just did as she pleased. There was a couple incidents where, one specifically, I had to go pick up medicine for Zane one day. She told me to call her when I got there because at the moment I didn't have any money on me. I was getting paid the next day. So she told me to call her when I got there to the pharmacy to tell her the total of the medicine, and she would send it. I tried calling her multiple times. She would not answer, so I ended up calling Billy Joe. Billy Joe
Wait a minute. Hold on.
$20 on Cash App to get the medicine.
We glitched, but
She gave me, and I
wow.
picked
So
up
he
the
had an ear
prescription.
infection, and Leilani was
She would send
supposed to
it.
send the money,
I
and
tried.
then just didn't answer. He had to call Billy Joe to get it. An ear infection. Hey, Grandma Sherry. I wanted to come to your thing this morning, and then by the time I got there, it was too late. But happy Thanksgiving. Hey, Harlot. The sitter was basically across the street. That is how lazy she is. Yep. Hey, just Linda. Thank you. And happy Thanksgiving, even though I don't think you guys do that, but
Tried calling her multiple times. She would not answer, so I ended up calling Billy Joe. Sent me $20 on Cash App to get the medicine for Zane, and it was medicine for an ear infection. And she gave me the money. I picked up the prescription, and I headed back to Buckhalter. I was still on the phone with Billy Joe when it happened, but I get back and I walk into the yard, and
hold on.
And I can tell she's angry. I think I the yard, and I was still on the phone with Billy Joe when it happened, but I get back and I walk into the yard, and Leilani comes storming out of the house, and I can tell she's angry. I think I may have said, I don't know if I said anything actually, but she walked up to me and she just punched me in the side of the head and walked away. Walked back in the house.
Yeah, F you for making sure that my son, who's not even your son, has his antibiotics for an ear infection. F you.
And it was
They are
the result of her being so angry that I asked Billy Joe for the money to get Zane's medicine, which to me was a necessity, and she wouldn't answer her phone.
absolute
And as
necessity.
I said,
My children have had ear infections. You know, my youngest gets them still all the time, and they are so painful. That is the one thing. He broke his arm and did not cry. 2 weeks later, got an ear infection and cried like a baby several times. Yep, that was probably $20 for her stash to visit her supplier of many things. JD says, I just have a hard time with this because he ran thinking she hurt him but left his daughter with her. I understand that, JD. That's fair, in my opinion. Emily, I agree. She is. Thank you guys for being here. I'm happy to get to spend some time with y'all on Thanksgiving too, for real. And yeah, just thank you.
I did not have the funds at the moment. So I did what was necessary in order to make sure that Zane got what he needed, which created a physical altercation. That to me is one of the, that shows how simple of an argument can escalate into violence when it comes to her.
You're dealing with this situation. You said that there were multiple incidents where she became physical with you, but in that story, you're picking up medicine for Zane, who is not your biological child. Quentin was not your biological child. How did it end up that you were the primary caretaker of not just your child with Leilani, but also her other 2 children?
I built a relationship with them because I just,
So sad. Poor boy.
I guess, in a sense, I am just a caregiver, sort of a nice person to children, and I really did love them.
Oh my God, that's sad, but I'm glad that somebody loved him. A lot of people are alone on the holidays, Meg. You're so right. Where Summer says, maybe y'all should look up the laws in the state of Georgia. If you're unmarried, you cannot just take your child away from the mother. The mother has full custody. You can go to jail for kidnapping. Right. I mean, but you could go to the court and file a petition for custody, but you're not going to get very far if you have nowhere to live and you're on drugs too. So I really don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, Nicole. Oh, I hope you have fun. That sounds awesome. But you're right. Like his hand? I don't know. It's a shit situation. What can you do?
And
But
still do,
this wasn't.
no matter if they're my biological children or not.
I do.
There were ways that I saw the actual things that they needed and deserved were not being provided by her, and it just felt natural to me to take care of them also. And before anything dealing with Sky, and I actually still had love for them.
Hey, both
of course, like it didn't matter that it eventually made a difference that they were the siblings, and Zane is still Sky's brother. But they just meant a lot to me, and they were such cute kids. I'm not gonna let a little one walk around with a dirty diaper all day. I'm not gonna let them be dirty all day. I'm not gonna let them not be fed. I'm gonna pay attention to them. And enjoyed being there for them. It was fulfilling in a sense also.
What was your relationship with Quentin like?
His favorite word was Danny. Danny.
Oh, my dear Lord, that just hurts my heart. It might have glitched right then. Let's hear this.
I enjoyed being there for them. It was fulfilling, in a sense also.
What was your relationship with Quentin like?
His favorite word was Danny. Danny.
Oh my God, you guys, that just hurts my heart so much. Yeah, MTB, me too. You're right, cutie pie. Danny didn't hurt those kids. She did. Danny isn't the one who just had a trial. Danny isn't the one who's spending his life in prison. Okay? I understand. Like, I don't know. I don't have a lot of patience for the conspiracies and the bullshit with this one. This is very serious. This is about a little child's life. And they did a very good job kind of showing us all the facts of the situation. There's not really a lot of room for the bullshit.
Sure, you've seen the photo that a lot of people have posted.
That's just me personally.
Where I'm laying down and he's next to me and he's got like the biggest smile on his face. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but
I have.
That kind of is self-explanatory at that point. There's nothing falsified about the picture. There's nothing. It portrays his happiness. He really loved messing with my watch. Oh my goodness. If I was holding him, he would just play with my watch as much as he he just would just play with it. He loved it. He had a thing for remotes. He would love to mess with remotes,
What a little
to like the
baby that
TV and
age
stuff.
too. Mm.
He was a very fun little one to be around. And I was just being myself and turned out to be Danny him as his favorite word. I don't know if that was something that had been spoken about like to where people knew it, but I think I've heard a couple of people say it publicly that that is true. And I just love being around them. And I also love being around Zane too. I have this video on my phone of Zane playing with my hair, and it's so cute. I might have to send that to you or something. It's really fun to watch. I enjoyed being around and
Hey,
feeling.
AMAC. Hey, Nicole B. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
I felt the love, and I wanted a home, like not just to live in a house. And
The internet at this
I
beach
felt the
house is.
love,
Maybe it's Starlink. It keeps glitching. It
and
is
I
Emily.
wanted a
It is.
home, a home. I wanted a family, and I was numbing myself with substances and uh, alcohol, but my goal was to have a home, a family, and I believe once it got to the point to where I felt like overwhelmed by the pressure of taking on basically my habit, her habit, extensive habit, plus her excessive
Yeah,
cigarettes
they're
are
not.
cheap. And smoking packs a day, plus taking care of the children, and like I said, working while she would do whatever she wanted to do, and to self-medicate is how I would word that.
Meg, Danny did
Which
take
was
the.
not, as I said on the stand, I never said I was responsible.
You've testified to it, but what do you remember about the night of October 4th into October 5th when Quentin was eventually reported missing?
Like you said, I have spoken my truth. I mean, if you listen to any of the music that I've ever released, I do speak about drug use. And it's
Have
just,
you guys ever listened to it?
it was a prominent part of my life at a certain point. And it's not something I'm necessarily proud of, but it's something that I
Right.
went through, and you have to go through it to get to it is a motto I like to
Okay,
go
so
by.
Harlot puts a quote in here. Unmarried mothers typically have sole custody in Georgia unless or until the father establishes paternity, which would be, a court process. It just would. Which, when you're using and stuff, that's scary.
The night of October 4th, it was just, to me, it was a regular night. I was trying to be a little, I was trying to get her back into bed that night, like not just to go to sleep. So because we both were supposed to go to work the next morning. So my goal was to just be in bed and relax at a certain point, and which was early. I believe the text messages were around 10:30, 11, and that was actually around the time that I
It's
actually went to
normal if you
sleep.
work and you have kids.
Until like the last text message, and I think it was sent around like 11 from my end or something like that. Um, I I just remember, honestly, it was just another day. And nothing had been out of the ordinary to me. Again, it was another day that I just let her have her freedom without worrying, because I had decided at that point I'm here for my daughter and to make sure that I never get threatened with never seeing my daughter again by her. So that's something she threatened a lot as well.
Not surprised
But
to hear that.
I do remember, I know I said in the beginning that I had seen Quentin in the morning. Now, I know that
Well,
has
here
been
we
a
go.
big
Interesting.
piece that is just confusing to some people, as if, I lied. And it was not intentional.
What
I
do you guys think about that part?
was innocent. I made an assumption because I did not look that morning. I, as stated on the stand, I wasn't going to turn on the lights at 5:30 in the morning to check to make sure. I didn't want to wake the little ones up, so I wasn't going to turn the lights on
Yes,
and create a whole thing that morning. I was trying to be as quiet as possible. I saw what I could see with the lights off, and as I stated, it being just a normal day to me at the time, I made the normal assumption that everything and everyone were where they were normally at and supposed to be. And it bothered me a lot that
Let's see what you guys think about this. Because I do have to pause for fair use. I mean, we've been kind of chatting along the way. I don't want to interrupt too much, but I want to give my thoughts, and then I don't want to speak over. So it's kind of like a balance, trying to balance, a balancing act happening. But Tess says he didn't understand the gravity of the situation, in my opinion. Mystery says, I think he glanced and did not go and look to see if he was there. It happens. Grandma Sherry, I think he saw a pack and play in a dark room. Oh, I know I glitched there. Grandma Sherry says, I think he saw a pack and play in a dark room and assumed it was Quentin. He left by the bathroom door and didn't pass him. Got out or something. He had no idea he was deceased, in my opinion. Hey, Bendy, happy Thanksgiving. I kind of think it's possible he saw a pack and play or just like assumed he was there as he left because everything was still calm and, maybe he had seen one of the kids. I don't really know. I don't have an answer for that. I'm not surprised he didn't look. I wish he wouldn't have said that in the beginning, but what can we do now? I do know that I would certainly look, but I think moms are a little different. We have a lot of anxiety over sleeping, checking their breathing, things like that. So I don't know. It is what it is. I'm not going to judge him for it. Yeah.
Wanted in the like she was.
I'm not going to judge him for it because I've watched every second of this trial and I've seen all of the evidence leading up to this, and I truly do not believe he was involved in any way, shape, or form. And I think it's doing a disservice to that baby to play into the conspiracies and to make it like it's something that it's not. I want to be very clear once again. Danny willingly participated. He was not forced to do this interview. He was not forced to have his phone, like he willingly had his phone tapped for months. He willingly had the hotel room and was filmed with his alone time with Leilani, where we saw Leilani apologize to him for going out to get Oragel, which we know was a lie. So I'm sorry, it makes no sense to keep trying to point the finger at him. It's, like I said, doing a disservice to that sweet little baby, Quentin. And I'm just not gonna have that here. We're not gonna play into, look, I'm all about conspiracies when there's actually like a good point to be made, not when it comes to like these cases where we have evidence and we have victims and their families and all these aspects that need to be handled so gently and with so much respect and love and kindness. It is so important. Let me just say that again. Hey, knock, anybody listening, when you are talking about missing children, missing people, murdered people, or their families, it should be done with kindness, grace, love. It needs to be done in a certain way, and at least with respect. And yeah, that gets lost on here sometimes. We're not talking about like characters in a book, you guys. I'm not talking to you guys in the chat. I just get frustrated sometimes.
Manipulative, sociopathic, pathological liar. But I never saw her get really physical with the other children.
He needs.
Now, verbally, I won't say she never did.
So Danny, look there. He said he never saw her get physical with the kids. Now, verbally, different story.
Was, as I stated, never physical with them, so I never thought that to be a possibility.
Ask him about the
or wanted it to be true. So I went with
thank you, amen.
The thought, everything it being impossible, essentially.
Yes. And
what did you want to be when you were a kid?
Oh. Here, I'm going to mute this. But Emily says Jen did a fantastic or an amazing job the other night on Sebastian's case. If only every other creator was handling like her. I know. So I didn't get to see it because we are at, like I said, we're at the beach. This is the second part of the interview. But I talked to Jen prior to that. Remember, I told you guys when we went over the first clip that was released of this interview that it was something that had been on my mind, and Jen and I had a talk, and she had a video upcoming about it. Well, she decided to do a stream instead of a video, but you guys should go check it out because I know, I haven't seen it, but I know because we chatted about it that she had some fantastic points to make. And then I'm going to share Grandma again because she did the Thanksgiving stream this morning, and then I think Mo is in here as Mo. Okay, let's listen to the second part of this now. Oh, we're muted. Hold on. Hold up.
And knowing everything that you know now since that day?
There's still so many unanswered questions. I beat myself up. I used to beat myself up a lot because I slept through whatever did happen, knowing, like, learning new information. You know, it just kept getting harder on me to believe that I slept through whatever did happen. Whatever did happen, it had to have been obviously quiet enough to where I slept through it. I mean, I'm not a light sleeper, but I'm not a heavy sleeper. I mean, I'm heavy enough to sleep through whatever did happen, which it's something that's always going to bother me.
Interesting, because we've talked about this in the beginning, and I remember with Dietz talking about it, either listening to Dietz or talking to her about the location of like Paul upstairs and, you know, where everyone was sleeping and how they didn't hear, hey, Astro from space, happy Thanksgiving. Leilani said Billy would get mad when she was roughhousing the little kids for fun. Okay, I have to cook, but if you need something to listen to after Allie's Lab, we released Letitia's jail calls from March without commentary. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And yeah, we have more too that I need to finish. Hey, Citizen Sleuth. And I definitely will, and I look forward to doing that with you guys. Okay, let's keep listening.
I really do not know what happened. And I know that may be a belief for some people. It's the truth, though. I have beat myself up for so long for actually not knowing. Because if I did know that something, like if I was, or for not being awake, because if I was awake,
How could you not beat yourself up? Yeah, Astro.
Done something.
I would.
Something, at least.
We've talked about this before, you know, and I don't want to like be repetitive, but anyone who's lost someone to self-harm, anyone who's lost someone to overdose, anyone who's lost someone young and unexpected, you can't help but you go, wow, I wish it, like, for if it's self-harm, for instance, I wish I would have answered more. OD, I wish I would have made them get help. I wish I would have forced them, even though you can't, right? You still think, I wish I would have just like taken them to the hospital, and or your mind, it doesn't even make sense, right? But you can't help but do that. And I can imagine in this situation that would be something you would definitely do.
I just wish I knew more, to be honest. I still don't know.
It was 6 weeks that it took for law enforcement to search the landfill where they ended up finding Quentin's remains. And of course, they connected it back to the dumpster that the police say that Leilani was at. What was your reaction when you found out that that was where Quentin had ended up or going missing?
We had Life 360. I knew very early on that she went to a dumpster.
Okay, now listen, that dumpster, there was a specific place in the landfill where trash from that dumpster would go, and that is where Quentin was found. You know, everything, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's not black and white video evidence of exactly what she did, but if you watched the trial and you paid attention to every detail, you know it all lines up. There's no room for the conspiracies and the bullshit and the what ifs, and yeah, there's just not. Hey, Wicked West, happy Thanksgiving. All right, you guys that are cooking and all that, it's all good. We'll be here waiting for you, talking to you, whatever, keeping you company.
At 1 a.m, or I can't remember the specific time, but it was around 1:30, I think, something along those lines. I had known very that happened. So having that knowledge, it was something, it was bound to happen. So I kind of had that, as I stated, I had the knowledge early on that that's probably how it was.
Hey, Shar, thank you for being a member for 39 months. Happy Thanksgiving. Also, do you have your wrench? I can't tell, but I had removed them all and was just giving them back as people came in chat. So if you hadn't been in the chat, then you might not, but just checking so I can fix it.
After speaking with the law enforcement and them providing me with the information that
Chris, he was bound to be recovered in the dumpster here. I'll rewind it and I won't pause through.
that happened,
Okay, we'll just.
that
Remains, and of course they connected it back to the dumpster that.
Here. I will not pause in
I
that.
just wish I knew more, to be honest. I still
Thank you,
don't.
really happy Thanksgiving.
It was 6 weeks that it took for law enforcement to search the landfill where they ended up finding Quentin's remains. And of course, they connected it back to the dumpster that the police say that Leilani was at. What was your reaction when you found out that that was where Quentin had ended up after going missing?
We had Life 360. I knew very early on that she went to a dumpster at 1 a.m, or I can't remember the specific time, but it was around 1:30, I think, something along those lines. I had known very early on that that happened. So having that knowledge, it was something, it was bound to happen. So I kind of had that, as I stated, I had the knowledge early on that it's probably how it was going to end. But after speaking with the law enforcement and them providing me with the information that led to my no questions asked cooperation, it was almost.
You hear that? He called it his no questions asked cooperation, meaning I'll do whatever you need or want me to do, no matter what. No questions asked. I will do it. Whatever I got to do for that baby to get justice, I will do it. So that's another reason I'm really frustrated with some of the conspiracies and stuff. It's not right.
I had no option to. I had to do the right thing. So
Thank God you did too.
it was a struggle dealing with the knowledge early on and having to keep certain things to myself, and still is, that will always weigh on me. I didn't want it to be true. I just didn't want it to be true. Not because of my relationship with her, but for Quentin, I just did not want that to be true.
Right.
It is always going to be something hard to
agree,
do.
JD.
Something I can honestly say that will always weigh on my heart. I do just feel blessed that I did spend as much time as I did while I could.
Oh. So let me just take a second.
Was a huge part of my life, and
I want to hear what he has
feel
to
blessed
say
that
about
I did.
Quentin there. But before that, I want to just take a second because JD says if he was guilty, she would have said so in that hotel room. And, I'm so thankful that, I think I had a little glitch, but I'm so thankful that they they did that. And I'm so thankful that he agreed to it and participated. And I think that that's part of the police doing their job. That's part of the police ruling him out, right? And showing that it was either just her or that it was her and him. You know, they needed to see how they communicated alone when Leilani had no idea that anybody was listening. So, you know, back in the day when people were saying, oh, police, you know, they're doing a terrible job, they're not doing their job. I think they did a damn good job. You know, I think they tried to tie up the loose ends to prove as much as they could with look what they were given. I mean, any evidence that would have been on Quentin, you know, was destroyed, including a lot of his remains. And then Leilani crying in court like she gives a damn. No.
Spend as much time as I did.
Like she gives a damn about when they're released.
He was a huge part of my life and has definitely made a difference in who I am today and the way I look at things and how I handle certain situations. You know, my growth, I miss him. I really do. No way I couldn't. I mean, if anybody ever spent any time with him, there's no way anybody could not miss that one.
Throughout the trial, obviously,
if anybody ever spent any time with him, there's no way they could not miss that little man. My God.
Obviously, when you were testifying, you were questioned very heavily by the defense about what you did and didn't do that night. In Leilani's sentencing this past week, she also had a family member can't take the stand and question why police didn't take a closer look at you and why Leilani is the only person that is serving time, you know, and had gone on trial for Quentin's death and disappearance. What is it like to still have the finger pointed at you, even knowing what we know now from what law enforcement provided, and now that she has been convicted of his murder?
I mean, it kind of doesn't really bother me because of the fact that I know I did everything I could, and I know in my heart, and obviously I was clear before anything ever became a thing, honestly. People are always going to have opinions and their thoughts, and you know, you can put evidence and factual information right in front of them, and because they feel so strongly about somebody, they won't believe it's true. But it does kind of surprise me that honestly, after all the evidence that showed, you know, me running out of the warehouse.
Yes, I completely agree. It is stunning with all the evidence, including him running out of work, that people are still pointing the finger. It's really sad. It's a disservice to Quentin. Like I said, it's not right in my opinion. It's just truly not right.
You know, basically as fast as I could. I left my whole jacket there, and it had a whole pack of cigarettes in it, which I never went back and got or anything. And as Dave was up there on the stand, he told you I was crying physically. Like, he could physically see my tears and everything. If that doesn't change what you believe, then
think you sure hate you, man.
That's on you. Like in the beginning, all the hate that I received, you know, it's always the boyfriend. The blame went straight to me from the beginning because of the fact that I was the boyfriend, and
it sure did. He ain't lying. Hey, mom of a gladiator, happy Thanksgiving. Hey, Sammy Activity, thank you for being a member 6 months, and happy Thanksgiving to you. Thank you guys for hanging out with me for a little bit today. After we're done with this, I'm going to show you Leilani's new home.
People just
Oh, sorry.
didn't want it to be true that
Oh, we had a little glitch.
even though it had true, was the boyfriend, and people
Same Wicked West.
just didn't want it to be true that a mother could do that to their own child. Even though it has happened in the past, just something no one wants it to be true. And it's easy to blame the boyfriend. You know, he got jealous because Quentin was getting more attention than his daughter.
Hey, Edith, happy
You know,
Thanksgiving.
the guy's gonna be abusive because he's a guy and he's a boy. He's just jealous or something. You know, it's easy to blame me, and I'm sure, you know, like my drug use, my appearance, and everything. It's easy to blame. So
that makes me really so sad. Like, it's not about Danny, okay? This is about Quinn. But it still makes me sad that, yeah, you do get judged because if you're an addict, and you do get judged if you have dreads or tattoos like that. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't like it. Happy Thanksgiving Sunday, Doodles. Good to see you.
have let all of that stuff
Oh, does he wear summer?
go. Just like I have no ill will toward I don't dislike the aunt Jackie. I thought she was a very nice woman.
Tony?
Every time that I had spoken with her and met with her, I thought she was a very nice woman.
Oh,
I don't
so he's either of course he's watched the sentencing, I would think, right? Because remember the aunt that spoke for Leilani about what a great kid she was and all that.
hold it
And
against her.
she also said both of them, the one who said both of them need to be here. You know, they both deserve to get the same punishment. He doesn't have any ill will towards her for that. That is, I gotta say, that's really big of him.
That she doesn't want it to be true, and that it angers them that I wasn't as heavily investigated, quote unquote, as her. But the evidence that was presented in the trial is no doubt just purely overwhelming.
Yes, it is.
Honestly, it's
So he watched. Okay,
just overwhelmingly.
I want to know for certain if he watched all of the trial. I don't know why. Like, I need to know that he knows all of everything they presented, because a lot of times the witnesses in these cases, they won't. No, not even just the witnesses. Hell, Gannon's parents said they learned so much from his trial they never knew, from Letitia's trial, I'm sorry, that they never knew. You know, and I'm really curious if now he's watched it all and he's seen everything, including the Red Craig text and everything.
You couldn't.
Mm.
I felt like there was no way that there was going to be a not guilty based on everything that was acquired and released in the trial, evidence-wise. So the evidence for it to be as incriminating as it is, you don't want it to be true. I didn't try to hide anything. I was straightforward in the very first interview with the police at the station for when they interviewed for like 13 hours or something like that. I was straightforward about everything. I had nothing to hide because I knew I didn't do anything, and I knew I didn't know anything. So me being as honest as I was, and still am, they never they never questioned my integrity or anything like that. But on the other hand, Leilani was very reserved in her interviews, and she portrayed herself as a victim, which it was almost, crocodile tears for a lot of things. And it just,
He's lost me
they
a
could
little bit
tell
here of where he's
they have a
going.
very good sense of who somebody really is and what they're capable of. And stated, she, however, had who somebody really is and what they're capable of. And I had no problem cooperating from the very beginning, as I stated. She, however, had at a certain point during one of the interviews with the FBI, she even asked for a lawyer.
There we go. And so Bella says the fact that he never asked for a lawyer, he never lawyered up and was still honest, makes me believe him. It's interesting he mentions that right after you commented that. And then Sunday says, seems like this experience has made him a better human being. And, that is kind of how it goes. Not kind of, it is how it goes. The hard times we go through, the tough times, sometimes, trust me, I get it. I've had some really lows. Okay. And, some that I never knew if I would be able to get back up. But you do, and then you grow from it. And everything I've ever been through that's been difficult to go through, even things that like losing people that I wish still would never happen, you do change from it and grow and learn and adapt. As humans, we are pretty miraculous the way we kind of do that,
But I did not. I never did.
Grace.
Because I never needed one.
Does he then? Yeah.
There's a lot that they don't want to be true. And I let a lot of the disbelief, no matter who it's from, just go, because I know I didn't do anything.
Yep.
The only thing I feel guilty about is that I wasn't awake.
For real, though, he didn't have 50,000 lies. The people that still blame Danny, explain that. Explain how he went in there, was honest, gave them his phone, let them record him, went to the hotel room, let them record their conversations. But Leilani, I can't get past that. That's how I can't even begin to look at that as a possibility, because it makes no sense. She lied 50,000 times, 11 times, as Jen says, but for real. Or wait, 11 billion, as Jen says. Because, look, I'm willing to look at anybody's perspective and kind of question or ponder if it could be possible. But it's just not possible. It makes no sense at all.
At this point, that is something I do feel guilt about, but that's the only thing.
You mentioned that you've had therapy related to this situation and your relationship with Leilani as a whole, but here we are almost 2 years to the day since she was arrested. Are you in a better place now when it comes to sobriety?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I was very open about my issue, my struggle with sobriety. I was very open about that in the trial, which felt really good to finally not hide.
It does. He's right. It does. Because when you go from the life of an addict where you're ashamed and hiding stuff from your family and your parents or whatever, to you go to a life where you're not hiding shit. You ain't ashamed of nothing. And all that you have done to be ashamed of has been aired out, and it's kind of out there and it's done. It's such a relief. It's a weight off your back. And it does make you want to live in a way where you continue to just do things that you're proud of, whether you're alone or not, whether it's private or not. Do things that you wouldn't be ashamed of people knowing you're doing. If you don't want people to know you did something or you got to hide it, you probably shouldn't be doing it in the first place, right? But yeah, it does feel good.
Oh, that I was a user and heavy drinker. It felt good to get that off my chest. I think it's been about 5 months. 5 months I've been fully sober. I did struggle with it a little bit more, like still after the occurrence, the incident.
Oh yeah.
I was trying to, again, self-medicate and numb myself, and that did, like I said, occur for about a year. Yeah, so I've been sober fully for about 5 months.
Right.
It's not been easy. I am proud of myself, though.
Hell
And
yeah. Hell yeah.
it took a lot of time to want it for myself, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I had to want it for myself and remember that, part of the reason that I've been is part of the reason I've struggled with so much in my life is because of the issues I've had.
Yep, the alcohol or drugs will cause a lot of problems for you. But that's the thing, and it's really hard to accept as a family member of someone who's using. They're not going to get sober until they want to, until they have that epiphany moment where they want to. Now, don't get me wrong. I think there's rare occasions where people might be forced into a rehab or recovery, and then they have the epiphany once they're clean and they stay clean. But in most cases, it's when the person's ready. That's when it works.
With sobriety.
Period.
So to move
All right,
forward
crazy
is
mama. Thank you for coming by. Hey, Mrs.
very nice, very, very fulfilling
It's just Dawn. Hey, criminal.
feeling. And I'm in a much better place mentally after the therapy that I've been through. I am still going, but it has helped a very significant amount. So
It's almost over. There's about 30 seconds. I'm glad he's still in therapy. Like I said, I want to show you where Leilani's living before we go. So hang in there for me for a second. But Peter says, I didn't like the brother's attitude on the stand saying Danny signed up for looking after all the kids. I don't think he did know what he was getting into. Peter, I'm with you. I didn't like that either. And we talked about it at the time here, but no, you don't get in a relationship and all of a sudden you become the babysitter. I'm sorry, but mom should be taking care of her kids. And then if Danny wants to help, sure. But it's not something you sign up for to be the only one doing it. Okay, so anytime a man dates a woman with kids when they start dating, then he's the one who's supposed to take care of them. That makes no sense. I didn't like that either. It's stupid. For me, like with my kids, for one, if I was going to date someone, it'd be a long, long time before they ever met my kids. And for two, I would never expect them to be the one. I don't know. I totally agree with you though, Peter. All right. He's right. It's not easy. I've been clean for 18 months and it's a struggle every day. Edith, I'm so proud of you. That's awesome. 18 months is a long time. After the year mark, that first year, it gets so much easier. it takes it that first year to almost like shake off the trauma. And then you start to figure out who you are again, what you're interested in, what you want to do, what you like, what you don't like, all that stuff. And I'm proud of all of you guys in recovery. I'm in recovery too. I've talked about it, in depth on my channel. I made 8 years in August for me. But I don't say I'm sober. I'm in recovery because I do partake in the THC. I guess I'm California sober. But hey, I'm trying to do better and be better every day. And that's all we can do after we put it down, put the substance down.
There's still things I have to unpack as
Yes,
well.
he's Sherry.
So, I'm just glad that everything has come. Almost, pretty much everything has come to light, and there has been justice served.
There we go.
Linear binaural mod devices uses dual mode stimulation.
That was it, you guys. That's the whole interview. But before I let you go, I want to show you Leilani's new home. So at the beginning, I showed you these mug shots here. Leilani is now a resident at Lee Arundel State Prison in Georgia. This is where she's going. Uh-oh, we had a glitch. This is where Leilani is going to be spending potentially the rest of her life and at least the next 40 years or so. So Lee Arundel State Prison. Here's some pictures of it. It's just it's not a little, it's a brick, prison. It looks like a school inside. Cinder block walls, and there's one of the towers outside where the guards make sure that you're never allowed to leave, Leilani. So if you try to, sneak out, nope. Number one, there's a bunch of razor wire that will turn you into minced meat. And there's also a guard sitting in the tower waiting on you. So let's see. Hey, Shay, babe, crawl May. What? Hey, Shay. Oh, thank you, Mo. Look, it's not pretty, that's for sure. But like, all we can do is be truthful about it, or it ain't helping even us. I wonder how she'll do in prison too. So what I saw on Google earlier said that it was for juvenile. Hold on, let's go over here. Lee Arundel State Prison. This is from the government website, because what I was reading on Google was not. So inmates with, visitation days, housing. They have open dormitory, single cells, and double cells. They also have segregation cells. They have farm work details. You can work on the farm. You have to get a job in prison. So Leilani will either be dealing with swine and cattle. She'll do general maintenance, food service, contract details, fire department, a queen rescue center, and hay operations. So horses. They have an academic program, counseling, recreation, religious activities, and some VOTEC stuff with a dog rescue, veterinary technician, culinary arts thing that she can do. Let's see, offender info. Juvenile, yeah, so they do have juveniles there. Juvenile offender information. It seems to be a women's and juvenile prison. The way that I don't know for sure, though. Maybe there's men there too. Questions about your loved ones. Let's see. How can I get my loved one moved to a prison closer to home? early release, blah, 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 medical treatment. How can I contact an inmate? My loved one was wrongfully received a disciplinary report. Oh, I bet you Amy Lang has been all over some of these websites and question and answers and prior to the websites or whatever pages. So I don't know. I have to do some more research into this prison. Let me see really quick if I can just find something else on the other screen. So you guys, are you excited for your turkey? Lee Arundel State Prison 2022 documentary. Somebody in there with a phone. I'm not going to play it. Lee Arundel female firefighters. So they do have a firefighter squad there. Lee Arundel Prison is one of the oldest facilities within the Georgia Department of Corrections. It was built to be a tuberculosis hospital. Okay, so it is a women's prison, and it just downsized last year. Primarily female offenders, though it hosts a smaller population of youthful male offenders. Okay, so there are males here, but they are juveniles. Very interesting. I don't know. For me, all I got to say about the interview, I feel sorry for Danny. He's only 5 months clean. Only 5 months is a long time. Don't get me wrong. But he's still got a few months to kind of work through some of that. And, it's not going to be easy, but it will be worth it. And I'll be happy to see him, another year down the road and see how he's doing. I hope he sticks with it. I cannot imagine this would be a tough time to get sober, I could imagine really wanting to close your mind off, stop thinking. Sometimes as addicts, that's why we use, because we don't want to think about stuff. So, I feel sorry for him. My heart goes out to Danny. It truly does. And I'm thankful that he was there for Quinn. And yeah, I'm thankful that he's speaking out. I think he should use his voice. You don't know, these are situations where it's probably very hard to speak out, but I think that it's important. You don't know how you may help someone make a difference, make a change. They're just situations where I think speaking out is always great. And I appreciate him for doing that. I think she did a good job with the interview. Yeah. And that's about it. Poor little Quentin, at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. And thankful he got justice, but should never have had to happen. So that's where we're going to wrap it up. Yes, I will drop the link for the interview, Chris, right now. Copy. Paste. And as a matter of fact, I will tag. Okay. I'll have it in a pinned comment in the comment section after the live. That's the way I'll do it. Or I could just put it in the description. I don't know why I chose a comment. We'll do that this time, though. Pinned comment in the comment section. As soon as this live is over, I will pin it. If you want to watch the interview, make sure there's 2 parts. Just make sure that you do both, because one's 20 minutes, one's 16. Part 2 is the 16-minute. And yeah. Oh, thank you, Harlot. Thank all you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Shay. Thank you, Chris. You guys, I hope you have an awesome Thanksgiving. Thank you, Bindi. Don't forget, if you need something to listen to, like Jen said, we have videos with no commentary of jail calls that we have talked about in lives, but we hadn't put out the calls with no commentary. So those are out. There's more to come. And yeah, that's really all I've got to say, except for I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. And thank you for spending an hour and 22 minutes here with me, or however long you were here. Life is short, and we should try to spend every minute of it doing something that we enjoy, at least. So, as many minutes as we can, anyway. So thank you to the mods, and I hope you guys have a lovely night, and I will see you soon. Bye. Love and appreciate you guys, Sherry. Bye, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.